Hello, welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You're listening to the new streamingnetwork.com, home of going bold and going solo. And today's show is Linked to Experts, Goodreads Authors Corner. I am Cece Shatz, one of your hosts here today. I'm the doyenne of relationship building, and I'm also the founder of the new streamingnetwork.com. And I have my good friend here with me. We have Joanne Weiland. Joanne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Joanne Weiland, when you can fly. And I am the founder of Link to Expert, and I created it many, many years ago, 15 years ago, so that you could find an expert, check out all their credentials, and hire them in minutes so that you can complete your projects or implement your ideas. So we are so thrilled to always have these different guest experts on, either our business showcase or like today, our authors on the Goodreads Authors Corner. Today we have Matt DiMaio, and we're so excited to have him back. He was recently on. So welcome, Matt.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Cece. Good to be back.
Yes, it's so good. I mean, I learned so much myself, and even though I've known you and I've learned from you over the years, and I appreciate it. But if you missed it, go back and watch Matt's other interview because it was phenomenal. And it's about remembering people's names. And because Matt is the rapid learning specialist, he's also going to teach us some new stuff today. But I just wanted to remind people, if you haven't seen it, it was so good because of the fact that I think people don't realize, but when they remember somebody's name, it makes them feel so special. I heard already that your own name is their most favorite word. So when you can address them by their name and remember it, and a lot of times we think, oh, I can never do that. I just can't remember. Well, a lot of times we can't remember because we say we can't remember because words are powerful. So beware, and Matt will teach you by going through the last interview as well, of course, find his book to get even more details. It's just phenomenal how that we just don't realize that when you break through and you know that you really have this superpower and have this confidence and you just can persuade yourself to knowing and have that true connection with others, your life is going to change because I know, Matt told us many stories about people that he actually remembered a whole room full of names. And I can just tell you from experience, I have done that myself at training and it really works. All of a sudden, people are like, want to learn more from you, want to understand more about what you're talking about. So I really recommend you go back and listen to that and then buy that book. But today, we're really excited because he has more information to share with us. And I don't know how this guy does it, but anyway, for 5 decades, you've been teaching people. And with this one about your superpowers of being smarter, faster, it's just phenomenal because of the fact that so many people in my world anyway are learning from being online learning. And Matt is going to share with us today how you can actually be more the best. Actually, it's actually the book's called The Best Strategies for Successful Online Learning. And I really think this is so important because today not only is there people getting homeschooled and doing this online learning, but if you're like me, every day I get invited to at least 10 different activities that are all about online learning. And Matt, when did you create this book? I mean, you're always before your time.
Well, first of all, the idea of straight A strategies for successful online learning came about as a result of the lockdown, when online learning went from being something that only the most technically proficient people seemed to be interested in doing, to where it was mandated across the country and or literally around the world. The whole online learning community wound up literally exploding in size as a result of people being forced to sit at home and take classes rather than going out and about and being with their fellow classmates. The size of the e-learning business and the online learning community is truly staggering. I was looking at some recent statistics, and online learning right now is about $400 billion a year in total revenues. That, listen to this, that's bigger than the cosmetics industry worldwide.
Wow.
And when you stop and think about it from that point of view, it's about $20 billion bigger than the cosmetics industry worldwide. And so, but there are some really unique challenges to taking classes online. And when I looked at the marketplace, I saw that there were lots of books out there for teachers to teach people better how to learn online. But the problem was there was nothing for students where it gave them the guidance to understand how to navigate the challenges, the differences. And so as a result, I wound up creating straight A strategies for successful online learning. And what I do is I give you the very best tips, tricks, and techniques that are currently being used by some of the world's best students. And before I turn it back over to you, here's what happens with a lot of people.
No, it's all about you, Doc. We want to hear about you.
So often, we look at some of the students in our classes, or we look at some of our fellow learners, or our competitors, and if they're doing a lot better than us, we think, or we naturally assume, that they're just somehow smarter or better or more intelligent, or that they work harder. Let me tell you, that's not usually the case. What is usually the case is that those people that are really the toppers in their class have stumbled across strategies that have streamlined and sped up the process for them. They're using power tools when you may be struggling along with barely any tools in your toolkit at all. And so it has little to do with intelligence and a lot more to do with understanding the right techniques and strategies. And that's what we're going to talk about here today.
Brilliant. I mean, it's so true. I mean, so many times we just keep thinking what we've always thought. We keep knowing what we've always known. And when we just reach out, like you're saying, and come up with some new tips, new techniques, new strategies to implement, it just makes our life so much easier and more simple to implement. And we can have a lot more fun because we're actually even more prosperous, because I always feel like that collaborating is simple, easy, prosperous, and fun. And that goes right in line with what you're talking about, because of the fact we can learn from you, Matt, how to do this. And that's part of collaborating, because nobody can know everything, but all of us know something valuable. So when we can learn from each other, we're so grateful that you came back, Matt, to teach us more about this. So please continue.
You know, there's good news and bad news when, like a lot of things, but when it comes to taking classes online, the good news is you can take classes whenever you like. And so it gives you the ability to customize your schedule. So if you have a job, if you're going back and taking classes to get continuing education credits, or that you're getting upgraded with your professional certification. Maybe you're a nurse or a physician. Maybe you're in the financial services industry and you're looking to get licensed for more detailed things. Perhaps you're studying in a completely new field. And so you can customize your schedule around your family, around your regular job. If you have an active social life, right, Cece?
Absolutely. I take courses all the time. I'm always online taking courses. So yeah.
So that's all of the good news. Now the bad news is exactly the same, that you can take classes whenever you like. Well, how is the good news and the bad news the same? Well, take classes whenever you like, whenever you want. So let me ask you, when do most people want to take class? When do they want to be sitting there studying? Well, for most students, unfortunately, that is Rarely, if at all. Now, you want the end result, but you don't want the drudgery of, oh my gosh, I got to listen to this boring teacher about this nonsense stuff that I'm required to take just so I get my credits. And so when you understand what's really being tested when you're taking online classes, it may come as a surprise. Most people think, well, the obvious stuff. Well, you're being tested on your understanding of the content and your knowledge and your ability to retain it and comprehend it and all of that. The truth is, when you're taking online classes, there's something else that's being tested, and that is your self-discipline and your willpower. Because it is not easy to discipline yourself to sit down and actually take classes. And here is a depressing statistic, and that is the national average is less than 15% of all the people who ever buy an online course ever complete it. Now, that's being generous, because the real statistic, if you really get down to the people who not only finish the class, but also apply for their certification, you ready? This is horrifying. 3%. That means that 97% of all of the people who start out with these great intentions never complete. And so I want to provide a solution for those people. Now, sometimes the reason that the completion rate is so low is because the course is terrible. The instructor just put a slapdash course together. But let me tell you, it doesn't matter. If you're being required to get continuing online education or continuing credits, or if you need to get a professional certification, or if you're looking to get that college degree online, it doesn't matter if the instructor is terrible or not. You got to find a way to put up with it and plow through it. And I'm here to help you with the best strategies, tactics, and techniques that'll do that for you.
That's wow, that is I'm actually not completely surprised, but yet I didn't ever would have thought it was that low, but I really do know the majority of people I know, and I know a lot of people, they procrastinate all the time. So I think it's even that they think they're going to take it or do that online course later, or even read that book or whatever it is. I find it's really sad how most people don't continually educate themselves.
So the way I structured this is, I think, important for our viewers and listeners. So first of all, this book, I want you to take a look at how thin it is.
I love it.
This book, Straight A Strategies for Successful Online Learning, from cover to cover, is a measly 51 pages. You know what that means? That you can get through the whole thing in one sitting. This is not something that's going to be difficult to absorb and comprehend. I stayed away from philosophy and really focused on, here are specific practical steps that you can take right now to get instant results. Now, I know that's a big promise. So in the beginning of this book, I have filled it up with one testimonial after another about other people that have done this. And I've had students that have gone on to become physicians, and they passed the MCAT with this. I've got students that have gone on to become attorneys, and they passed the LSAT with this. People that are taking the Series 6 and Series 7. Series 7 exam is right up there with the law, with the LSAT or the MCAT. Series 7 is a serious exam. But I've also had people that are studying for their CDL, their commercial driver's license, because they want to drive a school bus or a garbage truck. And not to mention, I mean, the majority of my audience on my YouTube channel, Be Smarter Faster, are college-age students. And if you look at the growth of online colleges, just here in the United States, it's nothing short of remarkable. Originally, people laughed at it, but
Right.
you've got some really excellent online college classes, online schools that have popped up. Southern New Hampshire University is one of my absolute favorites, but they're by no means the only one. But what a great reputation SNHU has. But there's a lot of them. Now, the book, as skinny as it is divided into two sections. The first section covers all of the setup. And I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second. But the second part of the book covers the specific mental strategies that you can use to get the information from your screen, whether it's on your phone or your laptop or your tablet or your PC, getting the information from there into your head. So I've divided the information into two sections. The first, like I said, is setup. Now, here's what I want to talk about regarding setup. The very first thing that you need to be aware of is the importance of being accountable. You see, when you're taking live classes, you're forced to be accountable.
Right.
You have a specific location that you must show up at. When you're taking live classes within that building, you've got an assigned classroom. You may even have assigned seating, depending on the nature of the school that you go to. You usually know who your instructor is going to be. In other words, the framework and the timetable is already built for you. Mm-hmm. You're now accountable to the instructor, to your fellow students, to your schedule to show up. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist when you're taking online classes. When you're taking online classes, you can sit in front of that computer screen and watch the online videos or presentations almost any time, unless it's a required live session that you must be there for. But for the most part, that is the minority of most classes. The majority of everything you're going to learn online is pre-recorded and pre-written. Mm-hmm. Now, so you've got to, and this is important as a concept, you've got to mimic the experience of being in a live classroom if you want to be successful. So what does that entail? Well,
do you have to get out of your pajamas?
Cece, I'm so impressed that you said that, because one of the things that I talk about is wearing the right clothes. And you would think that something as simple as the clothing you wear would be irrelevant. Mm-hmm. But they did a study, and this, I'm going to go a little bit sidetrack on you and catch you off guard. So they did studies in England where they put men and women in bathing suits and had them take exams. The men's score varied little to none whether they were taking their exams in street clothes or taking it in a swimsuit. Women's scores varied wildly, because when they were taking classes, taking the exam in their street clothes, they did fine. When they were taking it in a swimsuit, they were so self-conscious that it really interfered with their ability to perform well on exams. And so the whole idea of what you wear is surprisingly important. In some of my other classes where I talk about strategies to take exams properly and getting a higher score, even when you don't know the material any better, is you have to be aware of your clothing. You mm-hmm. don't want to wear something that's brand new that you haven't washed yet, because it may be itchy. Imagine sitting there trying to focus on something while you're itchy, or you're too hot, or you're too cold, or you're self-conscious. And so the clothing that you wear can actually have an impact on your ability. But Cece, as you pointed out, when you're sitting in a live classroom, You're not showing up in your underwear and t-shirts or pajamas. You're showing up in socially acceptable dress from your contemporaries. And so I recommend that you do the same thing at home. There's nobody looking, but you want to create that atmosphere. You want to formalize the process in your own brain. Another thing is you've got to have a schedule. With live classes, a schedule is forced upon you.
Mhm.
Now, in the real world, you cannot have a rigid schedule because life throws all kinds of unexpected things at us. But to have no schedule at all, you're dooming yourself to failure. So, in advance, you want to hold yourself accountable to show up for classes at a certain time and study for a very specific period of time. Also, my mother used to have an expression, a place for everything and everything in its place.
Mhm.
Being disorganized is is a very easy way to get yourself off track. Oh, I've got to go hunting for a pen that writes. I've got to go hunting for the class supplies that I need for my textbook, for a notebook, for whatever it happens to be. If you're normally sitting there with a bottle of water in your classroom, have a bottle of water sitting by you when you're taking the classes online. You do not want the extraneous things to distract you from what your focus is. And so you again want to mimic what your actual classroom experience is going to be like. And so before I move on to part 2, I'll be happy to take some questions or observations.
Take a quick break before we do the part 2 because we want to be able to let everyone go and get a cup of coffee or a drink if they would like. So you guys, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and this is the home of newstreamingnetwork.com, the Going Bold and Going Solo. We're having a terrific show here. We're talking about revealing the best strategies for successful online learning, and everybody knows we're doing that now. So you want to make sure you come back, listen to the next part of this, because I think it's something that will definitely change your world and maybe change those around you that are doing online learning. So stick around with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You're listening to newstreamingnetwork.com. We are the home of Going Bold and Going Solo. I am Cece Shatz, one of your hosts. I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland, with me. You're listening to LinktoEXPERT Goodreads Authors Corner, and we are so very proud to have a wonderful author here with us. He's written a couple different books. He's a bestseller. He's an author, speaker, and a rapid learning specialist. And we're talking about revealing the best strategies for your successful online learning. And I tell you what, if school tells you what to learn, Matt DiMaio shows you how to learn it. And that's what we're finding out today. If you missed the first part of the show, you must go back and listen to it because it is definitely revealing and will certainly help you. And let's go on with the second part of our show because I'm excited about it. Thanks, Matt.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you very much. So as we're talking about straight A strategies for successful online learning, we have already covered a little bit about that. You want to mimic the actual classroom experience and get as close to that as you can. So you want to have a set place where you study. You don't want to be taking your classes, sitting in bed wearing your pajamas or sitting there in your underwear. You want to have a set timetable. You want to be as organized and have all of the materials, tools, and class equipment that you need close by, because you don't want miscellaneous stuff distracting your focus and your attention. Now that you've got the right environment, that you're doing what you can to simulate an actual classroom experience, now let's talk about, what do you do inside your head? How do you get the information from the screen into your head, and what are some of the best practices? So let's first talk about what some of the challenges are. When you're sitting there by yourself compared to sitting in a live classroom, you don't have the level of interpersonal interaction that you have in a live classroom. You can't just suddenly raise your hand and ask the professor a question. You can't turn to the guy or the gal next to you and say, "What was that?" Or meet with them after class to be able to find out the notes that you might have missed because you spaced out on some stuff. And so you're also missing the camaraderie of sitting around with other people. By the way, being in a classroom with other people helps you focus because it is socially predicated. There's a minor but definitely measurable social protocol that you've got to follow. You can't just be sitting there willy-nilly talking to the person next to you while the class is going on. Many of the other students, and certainly the professor, won't stand for it. So you've got some certain social pressures that you've got to adhere to. All of this goes into your psychological ability to focus, which none of which exists when you're sitting there by yourself taking classes online. So how do you deal with this? All right, so first of all, you need to make sure as early and as often as possible. So when you have a class portal, you must log in as early as possible. Too many people tend to put off logging in for their assignments until the last minute. So you want to log in early. The next thing is you want to log in often. Sometimes you may say to yourself, "Well, I've already got the assignment." Well, how often in the real world have you seen that there's updates, other students are going to post updates, sometimes you need to provide feedback. There are things that change and you need to be prepared for it. Also, if you're taking multiple classes, it's very easy to start getting confused between what you need to do for this one compared to what your assignments are for that one. There's nobody next to you that you can talk to.
Looks like we're having a little bit of difficulty here. It looks like, are you frozen, Joanne?
I'm still here.
Okay, I think Matt froze here a little bit, so I don't really know what's happening. But I mean, what an engaging, interesting topic, because, you know, my son actually, those of you that know me, my son's in college, and guess what he's getting for Christmas? He's going to get this book right here. I'm excited about it. So Straight A's Strategies for Successful Online Learning, the very best e-learning tips and techniques. You can purchase it online. You can purchase it on Amazon.com. So you want to make sure that you go out and do that. Anybody that's actually going to school, it's a great book for them to be able to learn, because even if you're attending classes, there are still some online learnings that we have to do. So you want to make sure that you maybe get this book for them for the holidays or whatever. Would be a great book for them. And like Matt had said, it's only like 50 pages long, so it's not like a big read. It's something that would probably help you, maybe more of a workbook type of thing. But also, why don't you connect with Matt, and we're going to bring him back up here. Hello there. You froze on us a little bit.
Well, all of a sudden, my screen went in front of me, went black, and I had 3 little spinny circles where our images were before, and I'm not sure where we left off. But this is like one of those those old time movie matinee serials where they leave you hanging with.
I know.
Wait a minute, what happened to our hero? How does our hero get out of this mess?
Well, we were just about to share your websites and everything. So you want to share your email and your websites with us?
Oh,
and then I'll tell you where we left off. Go ahead.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, one of my emails is Maestro Marketing, Maestro, Maestro Marketing @live.com. I also have a very detailed video-based memory improvement training course. By the way, there are a lot of different courses out there. My approach to giving you memory improvement tips is really streamlined, very easy, and anybody can have a superhuman memory. And it is at www.anincrediblememory.com, because I teach you how to have an incredible memory. People will be blown away with just how well you remember names, facts, numbers, details. They'll be really impressed with the steel trap that you've got. I've got a lot of free information available on my YouTube channel. So if you're a YouTuber, please visit me at youtube.com/Be Smarter Faster, because you're going to learn all kinds of tips, tricks, and tactics to be smarter faster.
That's terrific.
Techniques. Matt, where you froze was you were expressing on the part 2 how you have to log in often. Like,
fine. Well, one of the things that I want to talk about is the fact that you're going to get hit with an awful lot of conflicting and overwhelming amounts of assignments and information and things to keep track of. So you really should keep a written checklist for yourself, because nobody is going to keep you on track. In the real world, when you're taking live classes, you can have other buddies, and there's a little study group and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But you need to keep yourself accountable. And the way to do that is in writing with a written checklist, so you stay organized. Talking about writing, too many people have had the experience of technology failing on them. Here in the real world, just as we are, your technology to be able to broadcast what you're doing is absolutely state of the art. And yet we still had a glitch. Mm-hmm. Well, wouldn't it be horrible if you're doing all of this work to prepare for an exam or get the information for class or submitting information to your professor, only to have things glitch out on you? Oh my word. It's horrifying to have that experience. So may I recommend that you not only back things up on flash drives, but wherever possible, and some of you are going to hate this, but I'll tell you, it'll save you a world of pain, print stuff out. You see, paper has a very low failure rate. And so keep paper copies of anything that you can. It never runs out of battery. You never had to worry about that it didn't recharge. You never had to worry about that you lost the connection. Keep paper records. And I know that a lot of the young people that are listening are going, oh, they're rolling their eyes at the ceiling. Let me tell you, it only takes one time for you to miss a major assignment where you go, you know what? That guy with that funny mustache, he was right. I should have printed it out.
Well, you still have to study, don't you? I mean, even though we're doing a class that's online, we still have to have some sort of study information. And I know that whenever I do my courses, I always print out the information. I put it in a binder, and so that I can go back to it and refresh, if I'm doing it, because they do have you do exams and stuff. So yeah, so you want to have that readily available. Yeah.
So let's talk about actual physical strategies to, first of all, to overcome the feeling of isolation. And that is create for yourself an online study group. See who else has taken the same classes that you are in that in that class and reach out to them and do what you can to create an online study group where you'll meet each other virtually, kind of like the way the three of us are right now.
Mhm.
And again, the more you can mimic the actual classroom experience, the better you're going to do with these classes, because it's too easy to let yourself off the hook. It's too easy to give ourselves an excuse. Willpower can be really weak. Self-discipline is something that's hard for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And so what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position where you are forced to be accountable to others as much as possible. And while you may find it uncomfortable, that's the way the real world functions. If you were taking live classes, that's the way it would be. You're accountable to other people to show up in a certain place at a certain time, dressed a certain way, have a level of personal decorum, have a certain social aspect to the way you're dealing with it. And so you need to do those things for yourself in the virtual world. All right, so now that we've covered the mechanics of successful online learning, because really the book deals with the physical strategies of how you set your space up and then how you are prepared. Now let's talk about how to get the information into your head. So you have for the most part, you have two different kinds of online classes. You have stuff that's live and you have stuff that's pre-recorded. One of the problems that people have when they're taking pre-recorded classes is that they fast forward through them or they watch them on high speed. Well, that's great, but I don't recommend doing that the first time through. If you've got pre-recorded classes, even if your instructor is boring, listen in real time. Listen at the actual speed. That's what it would be like if you were sitting in the classroom. You can't just hit a button and speed the professor up. I don't care that they're boring. So what that they're boring? Bad instructors are everywhere. Again, so what? It is not an excuse. You still need to complete that class. You still have to get those credits. You still want to have the end result of getting your degree or that certification or that information into your head. So the first time through, listen at normal speed. Now, in subsequent reviews, as you're taking notes, then you can listen at faster speed for your review. So as simple of a technique as that might be, you'll find that it's really life-changing. Now, you don't have those problems when you're taking a live seminar. It's live and there's no way to speed the control up, just like what we're doing here right now. But on the playback, a person can kind of speed through it. Let's talk about getting the information from the classroom, whether it's virtual or real life, into your head. Now, I'm going to give you techniques now that can be used whether it's a virtual class or whether you're sitting there live. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they think receiving the information is learning. Getting the information, being on receive, is not where you learn stuff. That's merely where you're beginning to collect it. How you know that you're actually learning stuff, and get this, super important, underline it, highlight it. It's not putting information in, it is getting information out. You want to find ways to get the information to come out of you. Scientifically, it is known as the production effect. I have a whole video on the production effect exclusively on my YouTube channel at Be Smarter Faster. The production effect means you've got to produce a result. So how do you produce the information? How do you get the information out of you? The first way is to take handwritten notes. Again, I can hear the groans of maybe some of my younger viewers or some of the kids that are watching, the 20 and under crowd. because you want to do everything online. You want to do everything digitally. Great. You can type it up. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to get the information into your head and do it as fast as possible, then there is no substitute for pen and paper. Because here's what happens, right? Here's what happens. You're taking the information is coming. Now watch this. It's coming in through your eyes and in through your ears as you're watching those videos or as you're watching the professor deliver the instructions. And then the information has gone in through your eyes and ears, and now it's going to come out through your hand in squiggles and circles and lines and dots and dashes. You're going to move your hand in a certain way to create information on the paper that is then going to come back in through your eyes. So watch this. It becomes a cycle. It goes in and then it comes out and then it goes back in again. Now, there's something called multisensory perception. You've heard of extrasensory perception, ESP. Well, there's something that's a lot less woo-woo called MSP, multisensory perception. And what that simply says is the more senses you use when you're learning something, the better it'll stay with you. So the more you can see it, hear it, touch it, smell it, taste it, the better you can put it in through your multiple senses, the stronger the neural pathways that are created in your brain. The stronger, for those of you that are in science class, the stronger your synapses are. It creates multiple channels to receive information. Now, I said smell and taste. Well, how in the world can you do that in most classes? Well, if it's cooking class or chemistry class, you can certainly smell some of that stuff. In cooking class, you can certainly also taste it. I don't recommend doing that in chemistry class.
I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap up the show, but it's a lot of information here, and you got to buy the book. And my son's getting it for Christmas. So
there.
It is Straight A Strategies for Successful Online Learning, the very best e-learning tips and techniques. You can purchase it right on Amazon. Go out and get it. Anybody that you know that's taking any courses at all, any kids that are in school, grab this book and have this for them. Have it available because, let's face it, we do need to continue our education no matter how old we are, because I think that it keeps our mind working, keeps everything going and active. And now that we're learning online, we do have to learn some new techniques in order to be able to absorb that. So we want to thank Matt DiMaio for helping us here with this. I mean, he is a speaker, a rapid learning specialist. Matt, give us how we can get a hold of you.
Well, you can certainly drop me an email at maestromarketing@live.com. Maestro is MAESTRO, maestromarketing@live.com. Or if you're interested in my incredible memory program, you can visit me at anincrediblememory.com if you want an incredible memory. Or if you want to be smarter, faster, and do it for free, you can visit me on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Be Smarter, Faster. My book, Straight A Strategies for Successful Online Learning, is not only available in print, it's also available as a Kindle book and on Audible as an audio book series on Amazon. So Straight A Strategies for Successful Online Learning. When I released it, within 1 week of releasing it, it became a #1 bestseller. It's not currently #1 right now, but as soon as I released it, it became a #1 bestseller. So that was pretty exciting stuff. So I'm looking forward to having you join me in all of those places.
I also want to share his other book, How to Remember People's Names. So you can also get that. So How to Remember People's Names. That's a great book. We did a show on it. If you didn't see that, you want to go back and watch that because it is definitely a great book. So Matt DiMaio, you are wonderful. We want to thank you so much. And I hope that you'll come and join us again because I know you have so much to share and we learn so much each and every time you're with us. We love you dearly. So we want to thank you so much for being with us here today. We're going to have to rush. I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland. Joanne, thank you so much for being on the show here today, She's one of our wonderful hosts, and she's got a terrific website called LinktoEXPERT.com. You want to definitely check that out. If you don't know about it, you better find out about it. It's called LinktoEXPERT.com. If you want to be an expert in your field, you want to share with other people, that is the website that you want to be on. So just reach out to Joanne right at Joanne Weiland, that's WEILAND, .linktoexpert.com. So you want to just reach out to her. And I am Cece Shatz, and you can also go on LinktoEXPERT and find me. I'm all over LinktoEXPERT because I love it, I use it, and I highly recommend it. So again, you guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and we are here on the LinktoEXPERT Goodreads Authors Corner. We are a new streaming network.com. Check out all of our wonderful shows and hosts and everything that we have there for you. And we are home of Going Bold and Going Solo, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.